And sure, if it started filming on this one. Yep, that's good. It's good. Talking about growing brands, talking about restaurants, stuff like that, it's been intimidating at times. So we're not going to do any hard open or anything like that. Let's just have a conversation.
I think growing the brand, we have to get to what's important in the food business, and that's the product quality. You've got to have good, consistent product quality. It's important that if you go to a restaurant, one of your restaurants in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, you go to the other one in Jackson, Mississippi, the product's got to be the same. I had a customer from the Gallatin store traveling down I-55 to the Gulf Coast, and he stopped in one of our stores, and he ordered a product, and he called the manager over, and he says, I got to compliment you. Usually chains, you'll stop in one store and in another one, they're never the same. He said, you guys are the same. And so that's what makes it important. I prefer to create that consistency through proprietary manufacturing. I like to find unique manufacturers that will produce our product to our spec with a non-compete so that it's the same everywhere. It's hard this day and time to find employees that care that much.
Yeah.
But if I can have the product the same by product manufacturing it, proprietary manufacturing, I'm going to do that. And I think the other thing, James, is hospitality. You've got to create hospitality in the store where people feel welcomed and comfortable, and you've got to treat them as if they were guests in your own home.
Yeah.
I've told you before that we had a gentleman from Austin, Texas come in one of the stores, and it was his third time in, and he was in Mississippi on business, and we remembered his first name. And he wrote me an email, requested franchise information, because he says, that's the kind of group of folks I want to be around. And that's building the brand, People talk about the vibe. Yeah, you got to create some vibe in the restaurant, but it's the quality of the product that keep people coming back and the hospitality that made them feel welcomed.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. It's so interesting because we've sat down with people from, fine dining, fast casual, QSR, basically across the board. And every single person talks about it, something to the same degree of consistency, right? Whether that's the consistency of the hospitality you provide, the consistency of the flavor, right? So we got some groups who, they have multiple different concepts, right? So that flavor profile isn't necessarily going to need to be consistent in every single restaurant. They need to have the consistency of a great meal, but they'll need to have the consistency of that great hospitality. And you have other groups who've come on and spoken to us who have the same exact restaurant that's being replicated throughout the country. And when I go into grab a bite in Los Angeles, it has to taste the exact same as when I'm in.
That's why you go in there.
Exactly. Or New York City.
Yeah.
And so where I was hoping to get to with this is obviously you're taking, a premium investment on that consistency. How have you seen that positively impact the financial side of things? Where when you prioritize consistency, what are you now seeing when you open up that next location?
Well, the key in opening restaurants and operating them, as you know, is putting rear ends in seats.
Yeah.
And that's what pays the bills.
Yeah.
So if you create a good experience for them, they're going to come back. And they'll tell their friends. And the way that I've looked at it is that you win customers one at a time.
Yeah.
You've got to treat each person as they come in different. You've got to feed them a great product, and they'll come back.
Yeah.
That's it. But you were talking about the product, the taste profile. I found a lot of my buddies and friends in the restaurant business, they'll say, well, I'm having trouble with my cost. I said, have you run a theoretical food cost? Well, no. So how do you know what your food cost is supposed to be? So there's some tech piece to it. You've got to know what your food cost is. We had a guy write a program for us. He works for us. And I can tell you today, right now, how much cheese we're missing from last week, which is critical for us. We're in a penny business. We're not in a dollar business.
Yeah.
You look for the pennies. But creating the hospitality, I'll tell you a short, funny story. I was in the fine dining business for a long time in Nashville. We had two upscale restaurants in downtown. I wouldn't be downtown right now because it's a whole different world. But we fed a lot of the country music people.
Yeah.
One of them, if I told you her name, you would know right off the bat. But she was a regular customer, her and her husband, and we prided ourselves in not bothering them, letting them alone. Like we set them at one particular table where people walked by and couldn't see who they were. And they kept coming back because we treated them as family and we respected their privacy, you know? So I think that's important when you know who your customer base is. You know, I've used a company in Fort Worth, Texas, to do a real estate evaluation, and it's not based on demographics, where we used to call 1, 3, and 5 mile radiuses of dollars and how much people make. It's the psychological demographic. Where do they prefer to eat? How long will they drive? And what are their priorities? And it was used to me is that somebody in Manhattan, Kansas makes $100,000 a year. They're doing okay. Manhattan, New York, $100,000. You're living on food stamps.
Yeah.
It's very different. So you got to know who your customer base is. And the main thing you've got to do, you've got to look at that product mix every week, and it will tell you taste profile and price point they're willing to say, and you zero that menu around those two those two statistics. It's not hard. The hard thing about the restaurant business is that you got to do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when you're going into a new location, maybe you're going into a new demographic, it's outside of those 20 miles near your house. How are you fast tracking that data back to you to kind of develop that understanding of who that clientele is to develop around?
Well, there's a lot of information out there, James, that you can plow on. For an example, I just did a location up in Gallatin. It's Facebook's moved its whole company there.
Yep.
And I'm looking for both parents working with kids because they got to feed Johnny and Susie.
Yep.
And then to-go business. I look at the average household income, and there are many companies that will provide that information for you. That it's their business to know what you do in your spare time. It's scary that they know so much about you, but you need to know that information. So, yeah.
And when you're bringing that information in, how does that go into the rollout of maybe it's the training of the staff or the menu creation? Like, what are those first next steps that you're making?
Well, we're going to keep the same menu everywhere we go.
Yeah.
We'll change a little bit, but it changes everywhere. Again, there are companies that are going to tell you what they want, what that population wants to eat. And again, it's zeroing in on the product mix, what they're buying. You don't want to keep Dom Perignon in your cooler if it's not going to sell, right? You keep Corbel. You've got to know what your customer wants to eat, and you've got to go and you've got to talk to the customers. I think a lesson that everybody in the restaurant business should learn, and I don't know if you've heard about it out here. There's a Southern restaurant company located. The home office is located right outside of Nashville. It's called Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Okay. Been around for ages.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with one of the guys on the board of was on the board of directors. And several months ago, before they hired the new CEO, I said, David, who in the heck made the decision to bring alcohol in Cracker Barrel? I said, do they not know who their customer base is? They're church people. That's why they go there.
Yeah.
It's because there's no alcohol. And then you hire a CEO that has never worked in the restaurant, has never walked up to a table and said, hi, how are you doing tonight? How was your food? Tell me about yourself. You got to know who your customer is. You got to talk to them. And that's hospitality, you know? So I hope Cracker Barrel can recover. Not sure, but they may be able to.
Yeah. Well, I think what's so interesting about the restaurant industry is how, well, we talked about it, right? Like it kind of calls you a little bit, right? It sinks its teeth into you. And how if you understand the business, if you're empathetic towards your guest, you understand what experience you're providing, it helps level up that entire process. So if you're the CFO and you understand why someone is putting a button to a seat there and why they've chosen to dine with you, it's going to help you with the numbers, right? If you're the CEO and you're trying to grow the brand, you understand what to grow into. When you're looking to staff, maybe it's the corporate team, back office team, and they don't have that restaurant experience, how are you kind of backfilling that to kind of make sure that everyone within the company understands the importance of the guest, but more so than just understands it, but you know what I mean, like feels it?
Family and hospitality. Well, there's questions I think you can ask during the interview. You're going to do some background checking on them. But I think it's important to know what their priorities in life are.
Yeah.
Okay. And that'll help you a lot in making those decisions. You know, I want to back up a minute if you don't mind. One of the greatest ways that an operator can tell how its restaurant is doing is when you walk in the front door and you're operating. Is the sound level the same?
Yeah.
You know? And then stand quietly and watch a guest take the first bite of the meal and watch the expression on their face. That tells you everything. I walked into one of the restaurants, previous brand I was walking for, dead silence. And that is a bad, bad, bad sign. You know what I'm saying? You know, food's not coming out of the kitchen for some reason.
Yeah.
So we were able to rescue it. But, you know, it's just, you know, I'm going to revert back to this lady that came on as the CEO for Cracker Barrel. She never went into restaurants.
Yeah.
She never walked in the kitchen and said, James, thanks for getting here early in the morning and making those biscuits. You got to create the want to with your customers.
Yeah.
And you treat them like family. And then the same thing with the guests. You got to know what they want, and you have to touch. You can't do it from behind a desk and a computer. You've got to go in the store and be boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if someone comes in, no restaurant experience, but they want to learn, what are you doing?
what am I doing?
Yeah, you get an accountant starts to work for you. Like, how are you teaching them that kind of restaurant way without putting them to a 2-year boot camp of working on the line?
Them through 2 years working on the line. They're going to spend a little time in the restaurant. I don't care what job they are. They may just be a host person for the day and see how they interact with the people. You can tell their personality when you're talking to them.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them, what do you do on your day off?
Yeah.
It better be something active. It better not be reading a book. And then I'll find a reason to walk to their car.
Yeah.
And if their car is neat on the inside, that's how your restaurant's going to look. If it's messy, that's how your restaurant's going to look.
Gotcha.
That's just me.
No, I love it. You know, it's funny, like you see the culture of a great restaurant and a bad restaurant and how different those two pieces are. And I remember when I first started working in the restaurant industry, I worked at one restaurant that was great, and then I worked for another one that was better. And I ended up working with a bartender who I brought from the one to the next. And I saw the change in him. Right? He was a great bartender at the first restaurant. He became an amazing at the second. Right? I had this support, had a reason to care. Everyone in the company cared, so he cared more. Guess what happened? He made more money. Right? When he cared more, the guests wanted to come back, and he started making more tips. It's quite interesting. The one thing that I remember working at Barrow in specific was, one, you always want to make sure that the dishwasher is well fed and has the strengths. You want to make sure that he is taken care of, because if those dishes don't come out, and when that bartender and when that dish pit guy doesn't show up, oh man,
you're going to get wet.
Oh yeah. But I think it's become a bit of a metaphor for all good corporate cultures, whereas there's always someone in a business that maybe doesn't have the glitz and the glamour. Right? There's no glitz and glamour in cleaning dishes. Anyone who's done the dish pit knows that. But damn, is it not important?
But you know, it's one of the most important jobs in the restaurant. But if you as a CEO know that you're short in one of the restaurants and you go in, you take your coat off, put the apron on, and you wash dishes, that teaches them a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the key, and you were talking about the managers, how do you motivate them? It's not money, it's not time off. You got to create the want to. And you treat them with respect. You know, we instituted a new policy in the company a couple of years ago. And it's not money that keeps them there. It's that you care for them and time off.
Yeah.
So once a month, every manager that works for us gets a 3-day weekend.
Love that.
So they can plan to get away with their, significant other or family and have a good time. So that's important.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you spend more time at work than you often do with your family.
Yep.
Which is a reality. And so if that time at work isn't core to your love for life, then the product is going to go in that direction as well.
They don't care.
Exactly. I remember when I worked in restaurants, looking at it now, I understand why they did this, but everyone was tracking how many of our staff had their birthday dinner at the restaurant. So I worked at a restaurant that was a little bit higher end. It was nice, right? And it was a place that you wanted to maybe go have a birthday, but
destination location.
Exactly. But do the staff want to show their friends? Do the staff want to show their family?
That's a great
point. Do they want to bring the people that they care about to the place that they care about? Because if you love something, you want everyone else around you to love it. You want the people that you love to love the things that you love. So do you see people bringing their loved ones to their place? And if so, you know you're moving in the right direction. Because I can tell you, I've worked at other restaurants where When I'm off shift, I'm not going back. But that last one I worked at, I went there no matter what.
That's
Loved
right.
it.
That's right. And you know, when even your partners go there to eat,
Yes,
it's big.
exactly. And people see it, right? It resonates.
Yeah.
It's fun,
It is fun.
right? And
You know, one of the greatest compliments I got is that 5 years ago, right after COVID, I guess it was 5, 6 years ago, they have the Pizza Expo here in Las
Yep.
Vegas. It's in March.
yep,
We'd not brought people before, but I said, you know, these folks have sacrificed a lot during COVID, and their spouses sacrificed
Yeah.
a lot. So I brought 8 people out here, and I let them bring, and I paid to bring their spouses.
yep,
So we get out as the first time, and we go to the expo, and I took them to dinner at Hell's Kitchen on the last night,
yep.
and they looked at me as a group, and they said, "Thank you, not for bringing us. That we're not the stupidest people here. We know what we're doing." You know, we taught them. We taught them how to read a P&L. We taught them how to read a balance sheet, and they love that.
Yeah.
You know, they love the growth. They love being the growth piece of it.
Yeah.
Some people don't have it. They've Peter principled out, but they know that.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, it's my family. They're
Certainly.
my family, and my objective is to leave a company for my family that they can support their family with a good living, send their kids to school great, and have something they're proud of.
Yeah.
That's my objective.
Definitely. Well, I've always said that I've always wanted to be a part of a company that respects me as the individual, but also for the fact that I'm spending hours of my life here.
Yeah.
Like, can they understand that, right? Because that's a pretty big investment. It's more than just minutes here and hours there. And when I've found businesses that respect me as a human being that way, I've stayed longer. I've
Just
put in
creating the
more.
want to.
Exactly. Like, I want to be there because they want me there. So when you look to build brands outside of a couple locations, it becomes harder to manage. Right? You're maybe not the one who's able to do it anymore. Or let's say in the future that becomes the case. How do you build process in place so that that culture can continue to be replicated?
I have benefited from working for some great people that kind of taught me that. You know, we have a call every Monday morning at 10 o'clock, and I send out talking points, and it's to what I call the executive team, area supervisors, marketing, real estate, all those folks. And we talk about different things in the restaurant. We have certain reports that they have to do, the area managers' line checks. You better send me your line check that you've gone down that line and I don't have brown lettuce and I don't have crushed tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's important. And we get everybody involved in it that know that's why we're in business. We're serving a product. And,
Yeah.
you know, you can't expect unless you inspect.
Yeah.
So I call it running my traps.
Yeah.
So if I'm in Nashville, I'm going to run my traps every day. I'm going to every store. If I'm in Jackson, I'm going to run my traps. And they know. And I'm not going to go in kicking and screaming. We're going to pat them on the back or say, hey, there's opportunities to improve here. And they'll usually do it and take
Yeah.
it, you know, do it. It's not a huge deal. But you keep them clean restaurant, quality product, efficient service.
Yeah.
You know, that's about it.
It's amazing.
But you got to do it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're kind of coming to the end of this now. Looking to the future, looking to the back office, what kind of investments have you guys made recently that have really kind of given you maybe that leg up advantage?
In the back office?
Yeah, back office, just anything in general.
One of the first things we did is that we did a theoretical food cost. This was several years ago. And I was very fortunate to hire a guy that had gone to Virginia Tech?
Yeah.
Very smart with tech. And he wrote a program where we can upload, where we scan the invoices, we upload the menu mix for the week, and it will tell us, are we missing X amount of cheese? Are we missing X amount of turkey? Are we missing X amount of pepperoni? So we know where to look for it.
Yeah.
But the big thing is to get the managers together
Yeah.
and teach the P&L. You know, how many dollars on that food cost do you need to decrease it for 1 point?
Yeah.
You know, 2 points to the left. And it's amazing how much they want to learn that. And that's what I was referring to when I brought them out here.
Yeah.
They went to those classes and they knew it.
Yeah.
And so that it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
You know? So, and they want to learn it. And it amazes me how many people in the restaurant business don't feel to take the time to teach that to their employees.
Yeah.
So, you know, you go by a garbage can and you see a pizza sauce bag and you look at it and there's about that much in it. You weigh it out. You measure it out. This is what it costs if you did this every day. This is how much it is for the day, for the year.
Yeah.
They stop and they look at that and they understand that it's a penny business.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I had a chef at one of the restaurants I worked at once have 2 line cooks dice a bunch of onions and then weigh the yield and then show them the difference.
Yep. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's pennies.
It certainly is. It's basis points at times too.
Yeah.
Well, Don, thank you so much for coming on,
Thank
taking
you.
time. You know, we typically like to do something a little different and give the introduction at the end. So tell us a little bit about who Don Clifford is. Tell us about Soulshine Pizza and how could you introduce yourself?
I got in the
would you
restaurant business working my way through college. Got a degree in economics. And when I was out of college, I was running the bar at one of the stores I was working at, one of the restaurants, and it was part of a huge company. And the CEO for that company, a guy by the name of Dave Wattell, called a meeting. My alarm didn't go off. They called me and I threw on a suit, got there, I'm sitting there, and he starts around the room. What's a manager supposed to do? And somebody said direct, somebody said control. And he got to me, and I remembered the textbook definition. I ain't got no idea where it came from. I said to create an environment which facilitates the objectives of the corporation. 4 weeks later, I'm flying around in a plane with him. I don't know, that was it. And he taught me a lot about attention to detail, and hospitality, and the numbers. He was a great guy. He died way too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. I love the restaurant business. I've done all the aspects of it, from real estate to construction to human resources to marketing, but I like operations the best because it encompasses everything. Yeah, that's about it on old Don. Like golf.
We share that. Well, Don,
Thank you very much.
so much. I appreciate it.
You're